Yes, how's it? So in a previous video, I got a couple more modifications finished. I went through this whole frame one more time, carefully and slowly. I can't see any other welding I need to do or anything I need to still finish. So I think I'm done with it. It's on wheels, as you can see, so it's ready to be pushed out of the shop. Because the next thing I want to do is to sandblast it, prime it, paint it a nice color. Although welding got completed, now it's time to push this frame out there and see if I can get it sandblasted and painted. Well, look at that, I've picked myself up a brand new sandblasting pot. Never used before. Hopefully it will do the trick. It's a 90-liter pot. I picked it up from Adendorf, which I suppose is the South African version of Harbor Freight if you live in the States, or maybe Princess Auto if you're based in Canada. So yeah, we're going to see if it will work. Most important thing, of course, with this is an adequate supply of air. And if you've seen the previous video where I got my brand new screw compressor, I think we are going to be covered on that front. Capacity 1.1 cubic meters per minute. Now that's the same as 42 CFM FAD, which stands for free air delivery. This very handy table given to me by my mate Henk from Air Systems shows the air requirements for grid blasting. If you study the table, you will see that nozzle diameter is the factor that determines air consumption. I will be using a 3.2mm or 1/8 inch nozzle. And as you can see, the air requirement for that will be 26 cubic feet per minute at 100 psi. My fancy new compressor delivers 42 CFM, so no problem there. But look at the requirement when you go to the next size nozzle, 4.8mm or 3/16. Now it jumps to 58 CFM, and then the air requirement increases rapidly. 3/8 inch nozzle, a whopping 232 CFM. This is both exciting and daunting at the same time. Exciting because it will be great to see my frame all nicely cleaned up and painted. Daunting because it's not my first rodeo as far as grid blasting is concerned. It's a horrible job. And it's probably one of the worst jobs I ever did in my life, was to sandblast the inside of a steel yacht. Ooh, that must have been 30 years ago. I mean, you know, once you get in there, you've got your hood, you've got your air supply, and as soon as you start blasting, so much dust, you can see nothing, you can see shit. So you're just basically blasting in the dark. After a while you stop, let the dust settle, see what you've achieved. And so you struggle along. In between you've constantly got to remove spent grit. Yeah, terrible job. So it's not going to be that bad. But sandblasting, grit blasting, yeah, not exactly fun. I've put down this builder's plastic in a futile attempt to contain the spent grit. Probably wasting my time, but let's see how it goes. So I'm using the proper stuff here, this black blasting grit. So not beach sand or rubber sand. So this should make the job a lot easier because it cuts really well. Remove all that old rust and paint. I got it in these 25 kilo bags, which makes it a little easier for the old man to haul around and fill up the blasting pot. Let's go. Well, I guess it's time for me to put on this silly hat and see how we go. Yeah, not bad at all. It's going pretty slow, relatively speaking, because the diameter of this little nozzle here is only 1/8 of an inch, or 3.2 millimeters. But it's doing good. So let's keep at it.
First failure. The pipe is split right here where it exits the tank. That did not last very long. I'm going to cut this piece off and reattach it, and then later I will see if I can go find a better piece of pipe, because this Chinesian one, it's not going to be long before it goes again.
I've swept up some of the grit that I've been using, and it seems that you can reuse it once or twice without any issues. Seems to still work alright. I think it's because it doesn't disintegrate as easily as something like river sand. Just important to let it go through a sieve here, to sieve it. Is that how you say that word, sieve? Just to make sure that I don't include bits and pieces from the sweeping that might clog up my nozzles. Don't want that struggle.
Much later.
Yes, I tell you, I knew it was going to be a crappy job, but I'd forgotten exactly how cock it is. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's a South African word for shit, except it's a lot more expressive. Great word to use. I suppose it borders on the crude side, so be careful where you use it. Except I suppose in people where nobody, I mean in countries where nobody speaks Afrikaans, they wouldn't know what you're saying when you say to them that is a cock car. Anyway, just having a bit of a break here with some cold drink and some ice, hot and sweaty, and gathering energy to finish off the last bit. Actually, I've still got quite a bit to do here. So yeah, just having a bit of a break. Whew. Cheers. That's nice. Well then, this ball valve that sits behind the nozzle did not last very long. Look, the grit blew a hole right through the sidewall there. So now it's useless. So I just fitted this 3/8 socket there. So now this piece of crap is out of the picture. I will just use this one now to control the airflow to the nozzle. Here on this side, that's your air supply line. There's a shuttle valve there. And the sandblasting pot comes with this water trap as well. So let's pressurize this pot again. I got these ceramic nozzles with the sandblast pot, 3.2 millimeters or 1/8 inch they were. but as you can see, they wore out rather quickly. And I'm not done yet. Now the problem is that the store that sells these is a 150-kilometer round trip from here, and I want to finish up. So I'm gonna have to come up with a forest engineering plan. Busy making my own nozzle here on the lathe now. I'm using some EN8 steel I found, which has more wear resistance and hardness than common mild steel. That's because it has a higher carbon content, around 0.4% they say. It's good material for making shafts, axles, gears, bolts and such like things. The properties of this stuff can be significantly improved through heat treatments like hardening and tempering, which will give higher strength and hardness. But let's see how we go. And here is the result of my labors. A forest engineered blasting nozzle. That's what my setup looks like now with the new nozzle fitted. It's a freaking lot of work, this man. Why can't I just be like a regular sensible dude and make this sandblasting business someone else's problem? You know, just put it on a trailer, take it away and fetch it again when it's all nicely blasted. 64 years down the line and I still want to do everything myself. What the hell is wrong with me? And that's what the steel nozzle looks like after maybe 20 minutes or so of blasting. The ceramic ones definitely last longer. So of course I had to make another one. And this is where we're at. So the day was not waiting for me yesterday. And I did not want to leave those freshly sandblasted surfaces overnight. So I cracked on like a madman and I got all the sandblasting done. And then I could manage to put on a holding coat of Etch primer at the end of a very long day before I could finally collapse in a heap. Since the blaster and the painter and the cameraman is the same dude, there was no time yesterday for taking any more pictures. But now it's a fresh day and I am ready to get some extra film thickness by applying another coat of primer. That's my 2K Highbolt primer done. Now it's finally time for some color. And I don't think all of you is going to like my choice. But as I say, different strokes for different folks. I've decided to go with an original 1939 Hudson color. Let's see. How about that? It's the same color that was used to paint that Hudson cab in 1939. Not what some of you would enjoy. It's probably not hot roddy enough for you. But I think it's gonna look real classy. Only way I could think of getting a sample of the original Hudson color was to cut this piece here out of the cab, polish it up a little bit, and I could take it to my paint guy to mix the color. Now I've got to weld it back in, I guess. Yeah, this is pretty damn ridiculous, but your man's got to do what a man's got to do. Let's get some of this 2K paint into my El Cheapo spray gun, and we can go see how this is going to look. It's a deceiving color, this one. It looks very dark here in the shade, but look there where the sunlight is streaming through. A completely different story. Yes, man, I like it. It's an interesting color. So with all the nooks and crannies, this was a cuck thing to paint, especially if you're not a painter. So yeah, we've got some overspray. There's some runs in places where only crawling animals will see it. But it's covered, it's got color, and I'm happy. The sign on the wall there, not so much. It's wondering, what the hell is going on? Well then, I can get my fancy new frame back into the fitting rooms for the next step, which will be assembly. That's quite exciting. Except now, the state of these parts does not fit the picture anymore. Tiffy, more sandblasting and painting for you. Much more sandblasting and painting. Now, unfortunately, a technical problem has occurred. It is an energy transfer issue. This old greybeard is feeling his age now. So, yeah, I think that's it for this round. Got my frame nicely painted. I can now stress about shiny paint, and I'll see you guys next time. As always, thanks for hanging out with me, and have a lucky one, man.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends on you. So think of